Hello, welcome to our tour of St Andrew's Church. I'm Sarah and this is Oliver. So we'll start by showing you the front door and the outside of the entrance area. Where the pitched roof is the original part of the church, and to the left and right with the flat roofs are later extensions that were built in the 80s.
As you come inside, this is the original foyer entrance to the church. It's obviously been painted over at some point, but we're hoping that as part of the renovation, certainly the walls that up here will always strip back, so when you come in you'll first see exposed stone, and that's sort of, we're going to try and expose quite a lot throughout the church as we go along and try and expose that original quality and character of the building. It's got a flag floor. I'm guessing this is the original flag floor stone, which again, all these sort of things we're going to be keeping throughout. Even the doors obviously will all be staying, and it's a question of how we can incorporate modern things into those doors, such as seals and locking mechanisms, which is something we'll be looking at as we go through the whole of the renovation process. So as we come in, we'll go now where Sarah is.
I'll take you into, I guess it was the cloakroom and toilet area. The worst amount of damage that we'll see throughout in terms of mould and mildew and what it's caused. Much the same story in the toilet.
So this was the only toilet in the church, and again, like Sarah says, we think most of the damage is because of the flat roof. The windows that you can see, so there's one and these two stained glass windows here. I could be incorrect, but I believe that these windows were taken from the wall behind me when they put these extensions on, so we'll be able to show you where they were. It was up against this wall here, but you can see a lot better when we get to the other side exactly where those were. As we cross over now, we're going to go into what will be the main bathroom, or as it currently stands on the plan will be the main bathroom. Sarah doesn't know about this. I had the thought that maybe we should put the utility room in here and the main bathroom at the other side. Reason being for that, it's going to be a lot easier to do the services. We won't have to pull all the floor up. All the services are already at that side. So we may end up doing that, and this will then become a great big utility room. I'm not sure, obviously, under the floor in here or anything like that. It's all lined up at the moment, so everything's to be exposed, and we'll see what we've got. But again, with this being outside, I'm not expecting anything with the worth features. I'll come through now, open the door, and we'll go into the main church.
Along with the two side extensions, they put two rooms on the back of the church as well. So this is one of the rooms. They're both the same size. We believe they were used for the community.
So all this is just going to become a bedroom. We're aiming to have 4 or 5 bedrooms potentially when we're done. Quite flexible on the number we have. It's just going to be our family home. It's our forever home. So this will be bedroom 1. We did have a thought about putting an ensuite in this bedroom, which is why we originally said we'd move the bathrooms up to this end, or the master bathroom, because again it'd make it easier for the services. But we're toying with that idea as well, whether we want the ensuite here or we want to move it.
We didn't want the main bathroom to be too small, did we?
So as we come now, this is exactly the same room, and again, same size room, sorry. Again, it's just going to become a bedroom. The advantage of this room is that it's got a slightly nicer view, or it will have. At the moment it's into the courtyard. It will always be the courtyard, but obviously needs a little bit of landscaping and work out there. But in terms of priority, that sits down on the list at the moment. This will be the first room we do anything on, and later on I'll be stripping this room out. And the reason we're doing this one first is so we can strip the pews and store the things that we want to keep in here, such as the pews. And again, this room will then be the last that gets a new lease of life. We'll go back out now into the main area of the church, whereby the power of magic and a bit of editing will have cleared that area out, and I'll be wearing a different outfit. So as we go through now, this was all part of the main church before, so the pews will have come all the way back, and over time, as they've found different purposes and uses for the building, obviously they've put these rooms on, and this little mezzanine here, to try and keep it a bit warm at the back of the church for them. So our plans in here are, there will be another bedroom put around about this area. I'm not sure what the sizes are for that bedroom, but we'll make it suit whatever we need at the time, and we'll mark it all out and we'll see how it looks to scale with the rest, because on this side is just going to be a hallway through where you'll be able to look down the whole of the building into the kitchen, the dining room, and see all the windows at the end. On this wall here was the original window which we sort of touched on earlier. So that was taken out when they built the two extensions on the side there to house the toilet and the cloakroom. The windows were then refitted in those walls. So we'll go through now and we'll talk about the pews, and then we'll go upstairs and we'll talk through our plans up there. Trying to reuse and keep all of the pews that we can in the building. Starting with the pews. So what we're hoping to do with the pews is reuse the end of every pew. I want to use them as kitchen cupboard doors, and there's a couple of ways we can approach that. We either shape the carcasses of the cupboards to meet the profile around the top, or we can look at cutting a couple of inches off the bottom here, profiling that and gluing and doweling it, or however it should be done, to the top to give us a nice square profile at the top. That'll probably be the cheaper option when it comes to making carcasses, but it'll all depend on how much it costs us to have these cut down and then machined on top there, because it is something that we'll have to use an external joiner for that. It's something we can't do ourselves. It may be that we even keep these as the cupboard doors, who knows. As we go down the pew, every part of it's going to be kept. So we'll go down first up to the back here. You can see it's got these wall boards. I'm just going to use the top. Because these are only halfway down, what we're planning to do is use the back of the pews. So when we break them down, we're then going to put the back of the pews either at the bottom or the top, so that we keep this pattern to the same height, or just above, depending on where it falls naturally. And then that'll give us our cladding, that's the word, isn't it? Cladding around the bottom half of the room, which is what we want to keep. And it'll use pretty much all of the pews then. For the base of the pews, because of the height of them, the initial thought I've got is that we'll use them for skirting boards in other rooms of the church. So when we go downstairs, you'll see it's quite a tall room, and it's going to need some really grand skirting boards. So if we can use the skirting boards, or use the back of the bottom of the pews for skirting boards, then that'll be what we can hope to do with that. So now we'll come up to where the kitchen and dining area is, and we'll talk about plans. Although as we come up here now, we'll start touch on the levels first. We've got two steps here and a third step further back. We're going to level these off so that they're the same height as at the set at the rear there. So there'll be three steps at the front here. The reason we're going to do that is because we want it to be one big open kitchen dining area, and we don't want the split level floor in there. So as we look at these first two here, either end, the plan for these is that we'll use these as a balcony, balustrade, so that we can, well, they'll go up on the mezzanine as such. We're going to look at putting some form of safety glass in here so that nothing can fall through and it meets any regulations that people say we have to adhere to. As we move back, there's two pews exactly the same. These two are going to become the bench seats for the dining table, and then the two further back, there's one this side and that side, we're going to make the end chairs for the dining table out of them, and then with what's left we're going to hopefully use it to make a headboard for our bedroom. As we come up, all of this will be the kitchen dining, like I say. The kitchen will start where the organ used to be housed, and then that will spill out, and it'll be quite an open plan. So as we go to the top of the room, you can see it's got some really nice tiles. Unfortunately over time there's been various repairs carried out in the church, and they've just replaced the damaged tiles with, well, they've either just taken them up or concreted them or used wood, which is a shame because it's a feature we really do like. If we can find some tiles that are very similar in style, shape, pattern, then we will replace the missing sections and have this as our flooring part of the kitchen dining room. If we can't find enough to replace those, then we will be taking this floor up, but the plan is to reuse the floor, so it might be that we put it into an ensuite, whether it be in our bedroom or the master bed, you know, anywhere, master bathroom. The floor will get reused, so it won't go to waste. I was going to talk you through the window now and what she's planning to have done with that.
Yeah, this is the nicest window we've got. The others are quite plain, square and diamond, which we'll show you in a minute. But this one is the one we'd like to keep. A way of keeping it that we've come up with is to encapsulate it into double glazing, because we're going to need double glazing throughout. We've contacted a company and we know we can get an aluminium frame around it, have the window removed, cleaned, popped between double glazing and then positioned back up again. So I'll just show you around a few of the other windows we've got as well. As I mentioned, these are not quite as pretty, just diamond and square coloured shapes, and this is what we've got throughout the rest of the building. Throughout the building there are 2 or 3 different styles of tops of windows, so these ones are probably the most intricate, and then there's some that are more like an arch shape. You will have noticed in the top of the mezzanine, which will be our master bedroom, has quite a nice window as well. But what we've found out is that by double glazing and encapsulating a window, it's actually cheaper to get a new stained glass window. So what we'd like to do, if we can, is use colours from the pretty window at the front, the more richer colours, and use them in a new stained glass window for our bedroom.
Up here is going to be the master bedroom. We're going to put a nice new mezzanine in, and then it's going to come all the way through, level with the first window there. One thing we're both keen to do, one thing we're both keen to avoid, is that we don't cut off any windows. I'm not a fan of that, and you can see where it has actually been done previously. So that's where the original window was changed that we touched on downstairs and moved to the outside on the new flat extensions. If we spin round, that window's being cut as well. We are going to have to leave that one, unfortunately, because below us will be one of the bedrooms. So up here, we're planning nothing too fancy. We'll have an ensuite, or at least a shower ensuite. Bath up here as part of the bedroom. Like I say, we're going to extend it. We're thinking that the bedroom walls won't go all the way to them. We'll have a little bit of a galley where we could sit, put a couple of seats, read a book, whatever, call it a library, however you fancy it. While we're up here, I'll show you the roof quickly. So the roof is in, obviously, a state of disrepair. And as you look up, this is probably the worst section for holes and things like that. And you can see, as mentioned, everything on the roof is going to be coming off. And then everything that needs to be replaced. Insulated, new membranes, everything else like that. Any tiles that need replacing will be replaced. We know we've got to replace all the ridge tiles because they have corroded over time. A couple of buckets here that the church has left us. Not sure how long it was leaking for before it was decided to close the facility down as a church, but I suspect it was a period of time. As we come through here now, I'll just show you a bit that I enjoy. The window there is obviously the original. If you notice at the bottom, it's more of a poured concrete, or I'm not really sure what to describe it as. That's because behind is the 2 flat extensions at the back of the church that will be the children's bedrooms. And when they did that, they shortened this window, which is where some of the glass for the what will be the utility room, should we say, is from. So they did reuse it. There didn't bin anything.